It seems like AI, unequivocally smarter than humans in every way, including in innovation, is probably not more than a year or two away. In 5 years, I think digital intelligence will exceed the sum of all human intelligence. That there will be, in 5 years, probably, let's say, at least 100 million humanoid robots, but maybe a billion. Yeah.
All right.
I will predict that the economy is probably twice its current size in 5, maybe 6 years. It's even at 5 to 7 years. Because you're going to hit a doubling period, where it's...
Safe cities, secure borders, sensible spending, basic stuff. And we're going to take Doge to Mars. How awesome it will be to have American astronauts plant the flag on another planet for the first time.
There it is, a U.S. flag on the surface of the moon.
Everyone will have access to medical care that is better than what the president receives right now. Well,
if they're willing to work.
AI and robots is going to make everything
free,
basically.
5 years from now, AI will be smarter than all of humanity collectively.
Maybe if we get lucky, we'll have sent people to Mars within 8 years.
Short sort of up and down flights, probably sometime in the first half of next year.
Full autonomy is about 3 years. Next year will probably be capable of autopilot.
We might have AI that is smarter than any human by the end of this year.
November or December of this year.
Next year.
Next year. 2 years.
Flying in
big time. 3 years. There'll probably be more Optimus robots that are great surgeons than there are all surgeons on Earth.
Sometime probably around, second quarter of next year.
Looking quite likely that it will be next year.
Yeah, suddenly 3 million cars will be able to drive themselves with no one.
Elon Musk has spent the last decade making wildly optimistic tech promises that border on fantasy, and almost none of them have come true on his timelines. The pattern is so consistent at this point that it's become a running joke in the tech world. But if you thought those old broken promises were ludicrous, get ready to take it up several more notches, because what he's been saying so far in 2026 blows all of that away. First on the list, Elon is telling people to stop saving for retirement. That's right. His argument is that his AI and humanoid robots are about to make money itself obsolete. So saving money for the next 20 years is completely pointless. Yes, the guy with almost $1 trillion to his name is literally telling the working class people that planning for their future is a total waste of time, because his magical AI robot army is going to take care of everything for them. Sound a little too good to be true? Second, Elon wants to put data centers in space. He's claiming that SpaceX will launch 1 million tons of AI computers into orbit every year and run global AI infrastructure off of giant solar-powered server farms floating far above the planet. The numbers he's throwing around for this project would make this the single largest industrial operation in human history. Elon says to expect this in the next few years. Third, Elon is now promising a 1 million person colony on Mars by 2050 and a self-growing city on the moon within 10 years. 2 off-world civilizations going up at the same time, while most cities on Earth can't even finish a subway extension in under a decade. So that's the lineup. We're gonna take a fair look at Elon's 3 biggest 2026 claims about tech, AI, and space. We're gonna examine the actual technology behind each one, and then I'm going to give every prediction a plausibility rating from 1 to 10 that's based on current capabilities and a realistic outlook. At the end of the video, I'll be taking a bird's eye view to try and figure out what's really going on here and what it tells us about where Elon and his companies are headed next. Hit that like button if you're ready, and let's get started. Let's start with the space data centers. Back in January, Elon sat down for a 3-hour interview on the Moonshots podcast with Peter Diamandis. This was recorded inside the Tesla Gigafactory in Austin. During this conversation, he laid out what might be one of the most ambitious industrial pitches any CEO has ever put on record. His plan goes like this. Once SpaceX gets Starship working as a fully reusable rocket, the cost to launch one into orbit drops to just about $1 million. From there, Elon wants to start sending up massive AI server farms. We're talking about the same kind of giant data centers companies like Google and Microsoft are already building on land right now, except Elon wants to build them in space and beam the results back down to Earth. His target is 1 million tons of these servers sent into orbit every single year, generating 100 gigawatts of AI computing power. For comparison, that's roughly half the total electricity output of the entire United Kingdom launched into space every year. Elon is presenting this as a near-term project that gets going as soon as Starship is ready, not a 50-year dream. But let's take a look at the reality of what would have to be true for this plan to actually work. The first issue is Starship itself. As of May 2026, Starship has not completed a single full orbital mission with a successful return to Earth, which means the fully reusable version, which Elon's whole pitch depends on, doesn't exist yet. It's still being developed and tested, and every cost number he's quoting assumes mass production of a rocket that hasn't even finished its prototype phase yet. The second issue is the launch cost. Now, Elon says $1 million per launch. The cheapest rocket in the world that actually works today is SpaceX-owned Falcon 9, and a single launch of that rocket costs around $70 million. Elon is claiming he can cut that price by 70 times, and no rocket company in history has ever pulled off anything even close to that kind of cost reduction. The third issue is the launch frequency. To put 1 million tons of equipment into orbit every year, SpaceX would have to launch a Starship about every 90 minutes, around the clock, 365 days a year. For context, the entire global space industry combined currently averages about 3 launches per week. SpaceX alone is doing about 2 launches per week. Elon's plan would require speeding things up by more than 100x, with one company doing all the work. The fourth issue is cooling. Data centers running AI generate enormous amounts of heat. On Earth, they use huge amounts of water and air to keep the servers from melting. Neither of those exist in space, and cooling servers in orbit is a problem nobody has solved at any meaningful scale yet. The only company doing real engineering work on space-based AI compute right now is called StarCloud, and their current demonstrations are about 100,000 times smaller than what Elon is pitching as a near-term operation. My prediction is that by 2030, we will have 0 functional AI data centers operating in space at any meaningful scale. Starship isn't ready, the cost reductions Elon is promising aren't physically realistic, and the cooling problem hasn't been solved by anyone yet. The only reason I'm giving this a 1 out of 10 instead of 0 is that there's a small chance StarCloud or another company managed to get a tiny experimental prototype into orbit before 2030, and that would just be to prove that the concept could work. But that would be just a small demo, not actual working infrastructure. What Elon is actually claiming, which is 100 gigawatts of orbital AI compute launched into space every single year as a near-term reality, is laughable on the timeline that he's giving you. The space data center pitch sounds extreme on its own, but compared to what Elon is promising next, it's actually the most grounded claim of 2026. The next one involves moving an entire civilization off of this planet. Now, let's take a look at the space colony stuff, because this is where Elon's predictions really start drifting away from anything resembling reality. Now, Mars has been a part of Elon's pitch for over a decade. He's promised humans on Mars by 2024, he promised cargo shipments arriving on Mars by 2022, he promised 5 uncrewed starships launching during the 2026 window, which he's now admitted won't happen. Every one of those deadlines has come and gone, and no SpaceX vehicle has ever reached Mars in any form. Mars deadlines from Elon have basically become a running joke to anyone who pays attention to this guy. So in February of this year, Elon actually admitted defeat. He announced that SpaceX would delay Mars by 5 to 7 years to focus on the moon first. The 2026 Mars launch window opens later this year, and SpaceX has already confirmed they will not be sending a single Starship through it. Now, you might think that's the end of his Mars pitch for now, but it isn't. 2 weeks ago, on April 30th, Reuters reported that SpaceX board had approved a new pay package for Elon ahead of the company's upcoming IPO. To unlock the full package, Elon has to hit 2 milestones. One, he has to grow the company to a market value of $7.5 trillion. And two, he has to establish a space colony on Mars with at least 1 million people living on it by 2050. The board of SpaceX literally wrote a 1 million person Mars colony into Elon's compensation contract. Now, this is the same trick that Tesla pulled last November when shareholders approved Elon's record-breaking $1 trillion pay package. Make the milestones sound visionary and futuristic, attach them to the CEO's compensation, and use that to convince investors that the company is on the verge of achieving something unbelievable. The pay package isn't really about Mars, it isn't about Elon. It's marketing for the upcoming IPO, which is targeting a valuation of $1.75 trillion for SpaceX. The pay package itself doesn't necessarily put a deadline on the Mars colony milestone, but Elon has been stating his goal publicly for years. He said many times, including as recently as a few months ago, that he wants a self-sustaining city of 1 million people on Mars by 2050. That's the target. Let's take a look at what it would actually take to make that happen, because I don't think most people grasp how impossible this is on that timeline. Mars is one of the most hostile places humans have ever tried to operate in. The surface gets bombarded by radiation that scientists would agree would force long-term colonists to live underground or under thick rock shielding. We're talking about building an entire underground infrastructure, and construction is expensive and slow even here on Earth. Now imagine doing that on a planet 140 million miles away with no existing infrastructure. Then there's food. The Martian soil is laced with a chemical called perchlorate. That's toxic to humans, so it has to be processed before anything can grow in it. Mars has no breathable air, almost no water on the surface, and temperatures that swing well below freezing. The largest closed-loop ecosystem humans have ever built was a project called Biosphere 2 in the Arizona desert. It failed. The oxygen levels collapsed, and the people inside had to have outside oxygen pumped in just to stay alive. We've never successfully closed the loop on a self-sustaining ecosystem on this planet in a building we could walk in and fix whenever something broke. Now scale that up to 1 million people. Each person needs water, oxygen, radiation shielding, food, medical care, and a way to handle low gravity, which causes ongoing bone and muscle loss. The launch window from Earth to Mars only opens once every 26 months, which means that SpaceX would have to ship roughly 230,000 people per window with all of their food and life support infrastructure, just to hit the target by 2050. This isn't a 25-year project. This is the largest construction effort in human history on a planet humanity has never set foot on, using technology that mostly doesn't exist yet. Realistically, this is a 100-year or longer challenge. Now, let's turn to the moon, because the second half of Elon's space colony pitch is just as wild. He says SpaceX will build what he calls a self-growing city on the moon in under 10 years. The word self-growing means the city expands on its own using autonomous robots that mine resources, build habitats, and manufacture more robots without human help. It's a vision of fully automated lunar industrialization happening before 2036. Here's where things stand right now. NASA has a program called Artemis, which is the current effort to send astronauts back to the moon for the first time since the 1970s. The program is years behind schedule, and its current goal is just to put 4 astronauts on the lunar surface for a short visit. Not a base, not a city, just a visit. SpaceX itself has a $3 billion contract to build the lunar lander for that mission, and the lander is still in early development and has never even reached orbit. So in the same decade where NASA is struggling to land 4 people on the moon for a brief stay, Elon is claiming SpaceX will have a self-expanding robot city up there. The autonomous construction robots that this whole vision depend on don't even exist yet. Tesla's own Optimus, which Elon has been hyping for years, isn't anywhere near being able to do real work, let alone be deployed in a household, let alone operate autonomously on another planet. So here is where I land on Elon's space colony pitch. The 1 million person Mars colony by 2050 is complete fantasy. The earliest realistic timeline for the first human boots on Mars is 2040, and even that's optimistic. More likely, we're looking at 2050 or even later for a short scientific visit, with humans leaving the surface afterward, not staying. We don't even know how to keep humans alive long-term off this planet yet. And that science needs to come first before we start talking about cities. The pay package number, 1 million people, is closer to a generational civilization project than anything SpaceX or any other company can deliver in the next 25 years. The self-growing moon city is a different problem entirely. The Mars colony is about getting people there alive and keeping them alive. The moon city is about robots doing the building. Elon is claiming that SpaceX will have machines mining, building, and manufacturing on the lunar surface inside of 10 years, when the most advanced humanoid robots on Earth, including his own Optimus, can't even reliably do household tasks. The realistic 10-year version of a lunar presence is a small, permanent research outpost, staffed by rotating crews of astronauts, with humans doing almost all the work. The robots Elon is describing could be as far as 50 years away. Plausibility rating, 0 out of 10 for both. The Mars colony is impossible because we don't know how to keep humans alive out there. The moon city is impossible because the robots that would build it just simply don't exist. You can laugh at the Mars colony, you can roll your eyes at the moon city, but the third 2026 prediction is the one that could actually cost you, because Elon is now telling regular people to stop preparing for their own future. So the third claim is the wildest of them all. Elon says AI is about to deliver a future so abundant that money itself becomes pointless. No more wages, no more bills, no more reason to save for anything, because AI-powered machines will produce everything you need at almost zero cost. In January, on the same Moonshots podcast we covered earlier, Elon told the audience to stop saving for retirement. Yes, his exact words were that you shouldn't worry about squirreling money away for the next 10 or 20 years because it won't matter. The richest person who has ever lived, and is currently worth close to $1 trillion, looked into a microphone and told the audience that planning for their financial futures is pointless. The pitch behind it goes like this. Once AI is powerful enough, it does all the thinking and planning behind everything we make and use. AI runs the factories, AI runs the farms, AI drives the trucks, AI handles healthcare, education, and customer service. Once all that happens, the cost of producing goods and services drops to almost nothing. Wages stop being the way we decide who gets what, prices collapse, and the whole concept of money becomes obsolete. Elon describes a future where nobody has to work to survive. You'd only work if you wanted to. Now, that's the story, but let's take a look at the purpose behind it. This isn't financial advice. The retirement comment is bait for a much bigger marketing story, which is that AI is so powerful and so close to delivering miracles that it's about to rewrite the entire economy. Every time Elon sells that story on a podcast, his AI companies look more valuable. Tesla is sold to investors as an AI company. xAI builds Grok. SpaceX now owns xAI. The more imminent and miraculous AI sounds, the higher those valuations climb. There are two big problems, however, with his story. The first problem is that AI doesn't actually work the way Elon says it does. The system his pitch depends on are large language models, the same kind of technology that powers ChatGPT. They are pattern matching engines. They are not thinking machines. They look at billions of examples of text and predict what they think should come next based on what they've seen before in their training data. They cannot break new ground, they cannot reason through situations they've never seen, and they confidently make things up whenever they encounter something that's outside of their training. They are not actually intelligent at all. You cannot run an economy on a system that hallucinates whenever it hits a problem it hasn't seen before. And there is no clear path from where LLMs are right now today to the godlike general intelligence that Elon's prediction requires. The second problem is the one that Elon will never address publicly. Let's set the technology question aside for a minute. Pretend that Elon is right about all of this. AI gets so smart that it can run everything. production costs collapse to zero and abundance officially arrives. Now, even in that scenario, you will not be the one who benefits. The AI doing all of this work is going to be owned by the companies that built it, and the wealth it generates flows up to the shareholders. There is no scenario where Tesla, OpenAI, or any other AI company voluntarily hands over those profits to the workers that they replaced. Picture how this would actually play out. Imagine AI productivity gains let your employer cut everyone down to a 3-day week. That sounds amazing on the surface, but you don't get 5 days pay for a 3-day week. You get paid for 3 days. The other 2 days of productivity, the value that used to come from your labor, becomes profit for the company. This isn't hypothetical. It's been the pattern in the United States for the last 40 years. Productivity has roughly doubled since the 1980s, while wages, adjusted for inflation, have barely moved at all. The gains went to the top, and they keep going to the top because our economic system has no built-in way to redistribute productivity back to the workers who lost their jobs to it. If you think the people running these AI companies have a secret plan to take care of regular people once AI takes over the economy, just look at how Elon is behaving right now. He is close to $1 trillion in personal wealth, and he is not redistributing it at all. There are no housing programs, there's no food security initiatives, there's no basic income pilots being funded out by his fortune. He's doing the exact opposite. He continues to shill his companies and drive up his valuations. A man who genuinely believed that money was about to become obsolete would be giving it away while it still had value, yet for some reason he's hoarding it. So here's my prediction on the abundance economy claim. Money is not becoming obsolete in 10 to 20 years. The AI isn't ready, and even if it was, the people who own it have no incentive to share what it produces. The transition to that type of economy, if it ever happens at all, would take generations and involve massive political battles over who actually benefits from the technology. None of that is happening on the timeline that Elon is selling. The plausibility rating for this one is a complete massive 0 out of 10. So that's 3 predictions, 3 fantasies, and every one of them resting on impossible timelines and self-serving math that conveniently makes Elon even richer. Which raises an obvious question. Why does Elon keep doing this, and why does it keep working? So why does Elon keep making these wildly unrealistic predictions about the future? The honest answer is the same one we landed on in the last video about Elon on this channel. He keeps doing it because it keeps working. Every time Elon spins up a new fantasy, the media fawns over it. The science fiction crowd gets excited, and the internet lights up with takes and threads and breakdowns. Almost nobody stops to ask whether any of it is actually realistic. He gets credibility he doesn't deserve based simply on his track record, and his companies get a valuation boost they have not earned based on the actual business. Now, Tesla is the clearest example of this. The price to earnings ratio for Tesla right now sits at around 400. Now, I took finance courses back in college, and we were taught that anything over a 20 price earnings ratio was already considered high and speculative. Anything over 50 was highly speculative. Now, Tesla is sitting at 400. This is so far past the textbook range that the only way the math works is if every single futuristic promise that Elon has made comes true and on schedule. The robots have to ship, the robo-taxis have to scale, the AI has to deliver. If any of those promises fall short, and historically every one of them has, the valuation will eventually collapse. You would have to be a genuinely terrible investor to put new money into Tesla at this price point. The 2026 predictions that we just walked through fit the exact same pattern, and the timing on them is not random. SpaceX is heading into its IPO. The Mars colony fantasy and the Moon City fantasy both pump up the perceived value of SpaceX right before that IPO. The space data center claim could be doing the same job, possibly even attracting future investors for whatever SpaceX builds next. The end of money pitch keeps Tesla and xAI looking like they're sitting on the edge of a civilizational breakthrough. Every fantasy is doing a job, and the job is pushing the valuations of his company higher and higher. The pattern works because the deadlines never have to actually arrive. By the time one prediction is supposed to come true, Elon has already moved on to the next one. the Mars deadline slips, but now the audience is talking about the Moon City. The Moon City deadline will slip too, and by the time that happens, the audience will be talking about whatever BS he comes up with next. The hype cycle just keeps rolling and the valuations keep climbing. Okay, I really want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. The positive comments from the supporters of this channel are what keep me going. I really appreciate every single one of you who keeps showing up for this video and commenting and hyping. Previously, I mentioned that I'm going to be launching a Patreon, and that is still happening. The Patreon is where I'm going to be sharing some spicier takes on people like Elon, Sam Altman, and the other AI leaders. Now, some of this is going to be speculations and my own personal opinions, and I want to get into things that YouTube may not approve of. So Patreon is where I'm going to be doing that. Now, everyone who's subscribed to this channel before I hit 10K subs is going to get their free Patreon access, so you can check it out for yourself and see if it's worth paying for. In the meantime, the best things you can do are subscribe, like, drop a comment, or even better if you can hype the video. Now, you can only hype the video on the YouTube app, and you need to swipe left on the like, share area to see it. They help a lot. Whenever you hype the video, it really helps push it out. Now, if you can drop a comment and let me know if you're able to see the hype area on this video. Previous viewers have told me that YouTube has been removing the option to hype my videos. Thanks again to everyone who watched. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.